I'll talk to you tomorrow, Eddie. What's Eddie, asleep? Goddamn movie even puts the editor to sleep.
He's not asleep, Mr. Brady.
What do you mean he's not asleep?
He's dead, Mr. Brady.
What do you mean he's dead?
He must have died during...
Dead? We were just watching the rough cut.
He probably didn't want to disturb the screening, Mr. Brady.
It's time for Animaniacs, and we're zany to the max. So just sit back and relax, you'll laugh till you collapse. We're Animaniacs. Come join the Warner Brothers
and the Warner Sister Dot.
Just for fun we run around the Warner movie lot.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to What the Hell Happened to Them? Jack Attacks the Cast. That's right, this season, Jack Nicholson. I am your host, Patrick Skeyhill, and joining me on the line is the final tycoon, Joe Vekeman.
I'm a tycoon. I say things and mean them.
Remember those Roller Coaster Tycoon video games?
Yeah.
Dino Park Tycoon, remember that one?
Dino Park.
That was the best
and then
one.
The Sims was like, we're going to make our own roller coaster Sims thing. And it's just a ripoff of it.
I don't remember that. Well, you know who else remembers those things? Lev Van Rensselaer on the audio boards. Reminding me to remind you that you can email the cast at whathappenedtothem@gmail.com. And Joe, what movie are we doing this week?
We watched Elia Kazan's The Last Tycoon, his last film.
F. Scott Fitzgerald's last novel.
Yeah, and I just read he died of a heart attack before he could finish it.
What happens in The Last Tycoon?
What happens in The Last Tycoon? Monroe Star. What do you think of that name? Just hold up. What do you think of that name? Monroe Star. Star is Stahr.
I have things to say about it, but I don't want to spoil it yet.
Okay. Monroe Star, a successful movie producer, pursues a beautiful and elusive young woman, all the while working himself to death. Does he work himself to death?
The ending's a bit ambiguous.
Yeah, this is not All That Jazz, where he literally works himself to death.
It's a movie that asked a tough question. What if Babylon took place a couple years later?
Couple of years later. This movie's boring as fuck. Oh my god, I was so bored. Were you bored?
Yeah, the first act, I'm like, all right, this is fun, and immediately it loses steam and just kind of like limps along, and then suddenly it's over, but it didn't know how it wanted to end, and then the credits came.
Yeah, what I think makes this boring is that the chemistry between De Niro and who's the girl?
I don't know the actress's name, but her character's name is Kathleen Moore.
Ingrid Bolting.
Yes, you don't remember her because she never really did much else.
Yeah, I'm looking at her filmography right now. This is one of 8 films that she was in. She's just got like zero presence. She's
I wonder why she was not in much after this.
It's just, it was weird. I don't know. But it's a problem when the central focus of your movie is this romance and there's no chemistry at all between these two.
Yeah,
it's dead. It was dead on arrival.
It's not even a big focus of the novel, the unfinished novel. So here's the deal. What happens with a surprising amount of authors, like Joe was saying, as Scott Fitzgerald dies, his friend finds this unfinished manuscript, just kind of tops it off with a little ending, and then gets it published. The novel itself is a little bit half-baked, and this romance is really just an episode in it. The novel actually places a lot of emphasis on the rivalry between the two heads of the studio, Robert De Niro's character and Robert Mitchum's character, Pat Brady.
I'm going to scream right now.
What?
So, up for the role, but they were pushed aside for Ingrid Bolting. Angelica Houston.
Well, she did get to be in the movie, though.
Oh, you see, what?
Yeah, she was in the movie. She was Bolton's roommate. That was the girl that Robert De Niro first asks out, and then she realizes that he wants the other girl.
I don't think I've seen Angelica Houston that young.
I know, I was surprised by it, too.
I'm sorry. that just took me by surprise.
It's fair.
The other actress was Susan Sarandon.
Once again, getting booted from a Jack Nicholson
This
flick.
is not fair.
Wow, she's had a rough mid-70s, I guess.
Yeah, that's a real bummer.
Yeah, I don't know why you picked Bolton. My guess is maybe in meta fashion, Elia Kazan was sleeping with her. I don't know. I don't know. It's like she's not right for this role. No.
She brings nothing to it. I don't know how they thought this was a good idea. I'm sorry. De Niro is just like, he's doing something, but I don't know. He's losing the electricity from him. With these scenes, it just drags. It's like a wet mop.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to move. You're trying to adapt a novel, which is always tough. And I know there are a lot of Fitzgerald fans out there. I'm not one of them. So his subject matter is always pretty dry to me. So I think that was going to be tough to sell.
Mm-hmm.
The novel's interesting in that it actually takes place from the other female's point of view, the one that's like super into Robert De Niro, but he's just like, you're 19, get away from me. You're the boss's daughter, are you insane? The novel actually has a bit of an interesting construction that might be related to the fact that it's unfinished and they might have been meant to be changed, but most of it's from her point of view, but then there are some scenes that she's narrating that she couldn't possibly be in. And then sometimes you get her version of a scene, and then the next chapter will be the omniscient view of the scene. So, like, we get to see, her appearance versus its. I don't know if that was intentional or that would have been changed if he had finished the novel, but anyway, 60 years later, some F. Scott Fitzgerald scholar comes about and rewrites the book-ish to kind of flesh it out more and have it be more tonally unified by a theme. This becomes the love of the Last Tycoon, and this forms the basis of a TV series called The Last Tycoon that was made by Amazon a couple years back. And Joe, for this very podcast, I watched all 9 episodes.
Why? You psycho.
I wanted to compare because I'm like, okay, so the TV show is based off, in theory, a fuller novel experience and has more time to do all the storylines that the movie doesn't kind of discards in favor of this romance that has no life. So let me watch this. It's also pretty boring. I just don't like F. Scott Fitzgerald. I just don't. That's it. And it even had Kelsey Grammer in it as the Robert Mitchum role. Still wasn't super great. The TV show itself gets pretty weird, and this isn't even in the novel, but the actress that he falls in love with, it turns out she's actually pulling a con on him, and she really is. In the movie and in the show, she claims she doesn't want to be an actress and doesn't want to get involved. And in the movie, it stays like that. In the TV show, the Robert De Niro character puts her in movies, and then she becomes a big star. And then it turns out her manager had her fake this accent so she would sound and look like his dead wife, so she would get cast in movies. And I say, this makes no sense.
Yeah.
This aggressively convoluted plan. The novel's even crazier. In the novel, the Robert Mitchum character hires an assassin to kill Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro beats up the assassin. Robert De Niro then hires an assassin to kill Robert Mitchum's character, but then mid-flight, going to New York, says, you know what, I probably should call that off. I would feel pretty guilty. But then his plane crashes, and then the assassin kills Robert Mitchum, and then the novel's over. The end.
Wow.
So all around, the 3 versions of this, none of them particularly interesting. So anyway, your earlier question, Martin Starr, in the TV show...
Monroe Starr, not Martin Starr.
Yeah, jeez. In the TV show, he's a Jewish guy from New York. His parents were immigrants, fresh off the boat. Mm-hmm. And Robert Mitchum finds him working at a circus and brings him into Hollywood. And so, but he has to change his name, so it's a fake name, Joe. That's why it sounds kind of ridiculous.
Okay.
He had to Angliganize his name, and the show delves into that more because then it becomes a big problem for the studio that Germany, which is a big foreign market at the time, doesn't want certain things to be in movies, because it's the 1930s. You know what I'm saying, Joe? They don't want certain things to be in movies. You
Yes,
following
I get
along?
you. Yeah, you're so subtle.
Or else, yeah, the film board won't approve it for Germany, which sounds oddly familiar to today with a different nation over to our west.
Yeah, just keep moving your head.
Over there, another nation has a stronghold on the film industry, so we can have access to the biggest non-America film market. A bunch of the characters had to change their names and whatnot.
Let me give you this quote. This is good. Sam Spiegel said about the film, "The greatest young actor in America today is Robert De Niro. The greatest living director is Elia Kazan. And I may be the greatest producer of all time. How the hell can we make such a bad fucking movie?"
Yeah, it's true, right? So, listen, if Jack Nicholson loves Marlon Brando, he's got to love Elia Kazan too, right? So this was another dream for Jack Nicholson. And Elia Kazan said, why are you in this movie?
10-minute role?
Yeah, 4 or 5 minutes. And you know what? In the TV show, the character has pretty much the same amount of screen time, despite it being 9 hours long. The movie talks about Jack Nicholson's character really early on in the film. They're like, oh yeah, Robert De Niro's getting set for the showdown with the WGA head. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be a big sparring duel between these two the whole time. No, Jack Nicholson's going to show up a little bit at the end. Makes this guy seem like an asshole. And in the novel, it's just a little thing. It's not this big climactic thing that ends his career. It's just something that happens. It's an episode that occurs.
So Sam Spiegel had wanted Jack Nicholson for the part of Monroe Star, but Elia Kazan had opted for Robert De Niro. Sounds like there was a lot of butting of heads in this production.
I don't think you go wrong either way, though. They both work for this role.
Do you think there's a little more energy from Jack?
I don't know. Like, I might have argued that, but I think that monologue Robert De Niro has, that when he's pitching that writer the story idea.
Yeah.
I think that really, really works. And if he couldn't do that, I'd be on your side, Joe. I think our problem is the script itself. I think this script, it was going to be tough for anyone to make sing.
All right, don't get mad at me. I love Robert De Niro. Please believe me, I love Bobby.
You love Robbie Din.
I don't think it helped at all that I watched this movie back to back with Casino. Yeah. Where he plays a kind of a similar figure, like a rise and fall of a giant, and it's just and he's kind of in over his head. He's just so fucking electric in that movie. And in this movie, he feels like a fucking, it's nothing. Everything's been zapped out of him. And that scene, I feel like he's just trying a little too much in it, especially it's the same year as Taxi Driver. And I'm like, how does one man give these two gigantically different performances? One has all the charisma in the entire world, balled into one man, and then this is just I just was not interested in any of this going on. It was a deflation of everything.
On the surface, this screenplay is written by Harold Pinter, who's a big deal playwright, especially at that time. So you would think it would be pretty good. I think the script is really bad. I think it's very dialogue heavy. I think the emphasis is wrong. I think the emphasis on this relationship is wrong.
Yeah.
Even the show doesn't fully emphasize this either. It's got enough other things going on. The movie doesn't deal with the rivalry between, Robert De Niro and Jack Nicholson. Fine. It's not big in the novel. But the rivalry between him and Robert Mitchum is. And De Niro, famous method actor. Kazan, method developer. He's one of the first directors to use method acting. Robert Mitchum, predates method acting, but of that era, he's one of it feels like he just kind of had it naturally anyway.
Yeah.
He always had that kind of ease that method actors have in their roles. If you put them head to head, I bet you get a really interesting dynamic there, and the movie kind of wanted to keep them separate the whole time.
Mm.
I think you lost a lot of juice that way, but that scene I think works because like the, fancy-ass writer guy, I'm like, yeah, what happens next, Robert De Niro? I'm ready to go. But other than that, I just don't think they're giving him a lot to do. I think the script maybe is too theatrical.
I agree with everything you said. I just have a couple more notes. Peter Bogdanovich turned down the chance to direct this, as did Mike Nichols.
Mike Nichols nah, I've had enough
Mike
mistakes
Nichols
recently.
wanted, but Mike Nichols wanted to direct this, he wanted Dustin Hoffman to star as Monroe Star. Yes. And I guess Paul Newman also turned down the role of Monroe Star.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I wouldn't hate all these. Dustin Hoffman feels like the odd man out, but the other three, they all make a lot of sense.
I got one more for you.
What?
Al Pacino.
Jeez.
But this is 70s Pacino.
Yeah.
This is like he's really dialed in. He's not doing too big right yet.
Yeah, I know he's not. You had described when you were referencing Casino like this guy that's in over his head. I think the character here is not in over his head. I think the problem is he gets too sidetracked, which by the way is not an interesting story because it makes the moral of the story feel like you should have spent all your time working harder, which seems an odd takeaway from the film. Like, if you didn't try to have a personal life, you would have had a successful ending. The show at least goes into this goodness versus greatness theme that was somewhat interesting, if a little overstated a lot of the times, including, I believe, once directly. So, and the show's weird. It's got like F. Scott. It has like somebody playing Fritz Lang, and Saul Rubinek, Frasier alum, is playing Louis Mayer from MGM fame, and it gets really in the weeds about this like historical fiction thing. So Al Pacino, I think, could do a better rise and fall. But if you want somebody who's already in power and then just like pissing it away, I think Robert De Niro or Jack Nicholson or Paul Newman are kind of better at encapsulating that.
Yeah.
Because they have that kind of command right away.
I want to give you, so the budget was pretty small in this, $5.5 million, but it still bombed. With all this, there's so much talent here. You're just like so many big stars. You're like, huh. Nah, no one wanted to go see it. With all this, it's made $1.8 million.
Jeez, yeah.
This is the same year as Taxi Driver. This is Nicholson coming off an Oscar. This is Robert Mitchum. There's Tony Curtis. This is Elia Kazan's last movie. This is a big deal, and it's just
you get a lot of big old Hollywood stars here in this kind of meta casting. Like there is something here. The ingredients are here. I blame it all on the script. I was worried you were going to like this movie a lot, Joe.
God, no. I
was going to be defending how bad the movie was. It's not even like it's bad. It's just boring. It's got like 25 interesting minutes, and then I'm like, we're kind of like The Player, and then immediately just boring.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, I mean, I'm not well versed on the life of Elia Kazan, but I assume because this was his last movie that he died soon after. No, he lived till 2003.
Yeah, he just didn't do it
stopped
anymore.
Making movies for like 30 years.
He pulled a Bellatar. He's like, all right, I did what I wanted to do.
To be fair, he was pretty old. He lived till he was 94. So he kind of stopped when he was like in his late 60s.
Clint Eastwood's still directing.
90 years old.
Yeah.
But he hasn't directed anything since Cry Macho. Are we sure that's not his last movie? It could be.
Wasn't he going to do two, like that Charlottesville incident happened a couple years back, and he was going to make two movies about it? Do you remember that happening?
He was going to do his Letters from Iwo Jima thing.
Yeah, he's doing that again, yeah.
That would be crazy.
It would be.
How old is he? 92
Does he
now?
have anything in production? Do you see that on the IMDb?
I'm checking right now. What if he was just like, I'm pivoting to TV now?
Yeah.
I don't think he's up to anything. It's kind of bare.
I said what I needed to say. Chickens. That was really what I was all building to.
92 years old. Yeah, I think he's done. And he starred in his last movie, too. Yeah, I don't see anything.
Well, Cry Macho's not how I'd want to go out, but fine. All right. You want a little Julia in general? In general. In general.
Give me it.
All right. I sent this article to you already, but I'm going to give it to the audience here. It's from Variety by Rebecca Rubin from January 29th. Julia Roberts and Jennifer Aniston to star in body swap comedy from Palm Springs director Max Barbacow. What the hell is Palm Springs?
Palm Springs was a pandemic movie. I believe it came out in 2020. I could be wrong, though. I think it came out in 2020. On Hulu, just straight to Hulu, because theaters were closed, obviously. And it's a fun rom-com with like a Groundhog Day aspect with Andy Samberg and Christine Milioti. She was in The Wolf of Wall Street, and I think she was on How I Met Your Mother in the last season.
Okay.
But she's really good in it, and Andy Samberg's pretty funny. It was a nice, fun movie, and it was like boosted a little bit because of its quality during the pandemic, because it was released actually, like people could actually watch it because they weren't keeping all the studio movies in jail until theaters opened up.
This movie didn't cost that much anyway. Let's put it out there.
Yeah, I mean the funny thing is it was bought at Sundance for the highest amount at that point, and I believe it was like 19,069,000 because they wanted to do a 69 joke. It's
still a thing now, Joe. Don't worry. Yeah, it looks like Hulu bought it for $17.5 million.
No, it was in 1969 or something like that.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
There was a 69 joke somewhere. I don't know.
Maybe taxes threw it off or something. I don't know.
Probably. Taxes, fuck.
It's always
you
Uncle
Sam
joke. Ruining all of our fun. Yeah, so there's not much info about the movie itself other than that Amazon bought it. It does not have a title yet. It is a body swap movie. So first the thing I thought is, I like both these actresses. This could be a good time. Yeah. And the second thing I thought is, what a boring body swap. It's just like one attractive woman swapping into another, and Julia Roberts is going to wake up and be like, oh my God, I'm a blonde now. And like, that's it. That's the movie, I guess. Jennifer Aniston's like, wow, I have Oscars now. Sweet.
Wow. Shots at Jen. Wow. She's like, I feel like I've worked with Adam Sandler more times than I remember. Am I on my before trilogy now with Sandler? Am I finishing this up?
Jennifer Aniston, talented actress, doesn't always pick the best roles.
But look at all my Emmys.
Yeah.
She has a lot of Emmys.
Listen, I could make a script that would get Jennifer Aniston an Oscar. This I vow here on this very podcast.
She tried with Cake. Remember Cake?
Well, Cake was that was just a bad script. It was a bad movie.
I didn't see it. Didn't look too good. Remember what was it? What's that movie she did with Jake Gyllenhaal and John C. Reilly?
Oh, The Good Wife.
No, not The Good Wife.
The Good Girl.
The Good Girl.
The Good Girl.
That's a good movie.
That was a good movie. That's how I knew she could act. Went a little under the radar. She might have gotten Oscar nominated for it, but it mostly went under the radar.
Yeah, I saw that when I was 13. I was like, oh, look at Rachel. She's doing other things. Yeah, so yeah, you bring up a very good point. That's not a very interesting body swap movie. Hopefully they do something with it.
Yeah, maybe only one of them swaps bodies and the other one tries to help them. Like Julia Roberts swaps bodies and Jennifer Aniston, like in Murder Mystery, Jennifer Aniston has watched a lot of body swap movies and she thinks she knows the rules and tries to help. Maybe it's so like they're sisters and only one of them gets body swapped and then the other one's like some crazy fucking weird person. Because that would make it fun. I'd be into that. I just imagine they're going to be enemies with each other and then they're going to swap bodies and then they're going to learn to be friends. Yeah, because we do not want this to be on the change-up level, which was Jason Bateman peeing in a fountain at the same time as Ryan Reynolds. And then yeah. Well, then it's just like two attractive Hollywood stars, and Ryan Reynolds is like, oh no, I'm slightly older now. This sucks. Ugh, God, Ryan Reynolds. We don't have to talk about him anymore. I'm sure we will be seeing him in a few months when The Rock does another movie. Well, yeah, we got to get the Red Notice sequel, obviously. Oh, God. Oh, yeah, they were in a movie together. They were. For real. Uh-huh. Okay. Well, and also Hobbs and Shaw. Yeah, that pisses me off. So, yeah, I mean, good body swap movies. Can you think of one? The only one I'm thinking of right now is, and it's like, it was good when I saw it when I was like 12, was Freaky Friday with Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan. I mean, yeah, that's a fine movie. There's nothing wrong with that movie. I don't need to see people swapping bodies. I mean, well, that's the game we're in right now. I know. It's funny because that movie will probably come out like 6 months after we get
Julia's new Oscar play, the Sam Esmail movie, coming out in December.
Well, it sounds like this might be a 2024 film. Just they haven't even started shooting
so I'm saying
yet.
6 months after the new movie she's coming out in December. So probably like next year in June.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was that long away. Yeah, okay, that makes sense then.
We get a whole year before we see it.
All right. Well, real quick before I forget, The Last Tycoon does not pass the Bechdel test.
Didn't think so.
A bit ironic because Robert De Niro goes on a whole tirade of like, you're writing this woman character really shittily.
Yeah.
You got to treat them a little
Those
more
his words?
dignified and stuff. And meanwhile, the script doesn't. But I think the point of that scene was he wanted to build the perfect woman. And so when this other woman comes along, like that's who he manifests. I think the problem is that she just leaves. She's like, oh yeah, I married somebody else. Sorry.
I think the problem was that a man was trying to build the perfect woman.
Yeah, I know, but like the problem with that as a storyline is he doesn't have ultimately any autonomy over that success or failure because she just goes.
Yeah.
She could have just been any lady that he fell in love with, and she would have been like, well, I'm sorry, I'm marrying somebody else. And so the two feel disconnected. Like it never really mattered that she looked like his ex-wife, other than the fact that that's why he wanted to date her in the first place. And a lot of romantic movies don't even need that anyway. And you had to come up with this pretty, I don't know, cliche is not the right word, but like contrived one. And you'd think then you'd make it a bigger theme of your story, especially since this romance is what your whole movie's running around. I think the movie's just confused. The novel itself is 17 chapters. When it gets remade and fleshed out, it's like 30-something chapters. So either way, you have to cut out some stuff. I think you just cut out the wrong stuff in this movie.
They cut out the new stuff. I mean, they put in the new stuff and not the old stuff.
All right. We're going to have a follow-up to a conversation we had last week, Joe. You ready for it?
Hell yeah. Bring it on.
This headline from The Hollywood Reporter. Oscars Film Academy conducting review amid questions about Andrea Riseborough's campaign.
Fucking hell, I heard about this.
It has drawn so much suspicion this woman was nominated out of nowhere. The Academy Awards are wondering if violations have been made into the campaign rules.
Yeah, the violations were she didn't pour millions of dollars into this campaign.
Well,
she was
I'm
like,
going to get
hey,
into that.
5 of my friends wanted to tweet about how great my movie is.
Listen, I'm going to get into the scathing details. Hollywood Reporter's article basically just says what I told you. It's just a longer version of that. Variety has an article from the 27th by Clayton Davis. 2 Leslie Instagram posts referencing Cate Blanchett could factor into Academy Board meeting.
Well, Viola Davis should be in that in that slot. Not, I'm sorry. It's just...
The grassroots campaign enlisted numerous famous names to help spread the word about the small indie. But did that break any rules, or was it just smartly playing the awards game? So here are the guidelines that are in question. In a post dated 2 weeks ago, the official Instagram account for 2 Leslie quoted Richard Roper's blurb from his top 10 films of 2022 articles, the Chicago Sun-Times, where he listed the movie at number 5. Richard Roper's still kicking around, I see.
Yeah, that's a name I haven't heard in a while.
The quote reads, as much as I admired Blanchett's work in... oh, these are fighting words now, Richard Roper.
Is he trying to take down Blanchett?
Yeah, is this where this is going? As much as I admire Blanchett's work in Tar, my favorite performance by a woman this year was delivered by the chameleon-like Andrea Riseborough in director Michael Morris's searing drama about a mom at the final crossroads of her life after she's lost everything due to her drinking. What?
Did you not watch Tar?
I mean, I want to critique it, but I have not obviously seen 2 Leslie.
Are you going to?
Yeah, I've got it now, so I can yell at Richard Roper.
I think we should both try to watch 2 Leslie by next week.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's a woman who's, like, drank a lot and she's screwed up her life. I've seen that movie 8,000 times, but female conductor sexually abusing people who work for her? Haven't seen that. I haven't seen the female Harvey Weinstein film yet in the music world. My goodness. Yeah, so the cast of this movie actually looks good. You got Mark Maron, Allison Janney, Stephen Root. I'm into all those guys.
Yeah.
So he goes on to say, two Leslie ranks with Leaving Las Vegas and Crazy Heart as a modern day classics about the... So you're naming the movies we've already got that do the same thing. That's what you're doing in your own thing. Anyway.
Crazy Heart? Why would anyone talk about Crazy Heart? God.
Anyway, so that quote is referenced in an Instagram post, and this might be a direct violation of rule number 11 of the Academy's campaign rules where you reference other nominees. Part B of the rule says any tactic that singles out the competition by name or titles is expressly forbidden. The article goes on to say, though it quotes a critic rather than directly invoking the name of a competing hopeful, the fact that it comes from the film's official Instagram could be an issue. Let's be fair during this process, one Academy member of the actors branch tells Variety. It doesn't look good, but I don't want to jump to conclusions. One violation isn't the end for someone, nor should it be, but when you add in other X factors and rumors into the mix, you might have it. Just to be clear, the X factors and rumors, not talked about in this article. I desperately want to know what they are, because this right here seems really boring. And if this is a violation of the rules, I'm already bored.
What, there's an Instagram post?
Like, oh no, the Instagram post quoted a critic that said, I know this one actress is really, really good, but I think this one is the best.
Yeah, boring.
So anyway.
It's an opinion.
I'm so shaking. I'm shaking in my boots.
You're not even wearing boots.
Then the person goes on and says, I feel bad for Andrea no matter what happens, because she's obviously not the one doing this. There are forces at work
she's not going to win.
Her.
There's no way she's going to win.
No matter what, they hear this quote and they go, wow, yeah, she was better than Tar in the movie I've never heard of.
Yeah, Tar's on Peacock.
I feel bad for Andrea. No matter what happens, her reputation's being tarnished, whether her campaign did something or not. I mean, it did do this post, right? The post definitely happened. It's just, is that a dumb rule or not, is my takeaway. This is ironic considering the post references Blanchett, who publicly named Riseborough along with Tang Wei and Penelope Cruz when she won the Critics' Choice Award for Best Actress earlier this month. And no one cared about that. Actor Frances Fisher, a vocal advocate for Riseborough's campaign on the circuit, also quoted Roper's story, but misrepresented it, saying Roper picked Andrea Riseborough at number 5 out of 10 for Best Actress. That's how you campaign for her? Where you say, yeah, Roper thought she was the 5th best actress of the year. Well, she's not going to win the Academy Award that way.
Well, let me tell you something, though.
What?
Got her a nomination.
Did get her a nomination.
She's in the 5.
To be clear, Roper named the film as his number 5 best film of the year, not the actress's performance.
I know we haven't seen it, but has he only seen 5 films this year?
On the post, Fisher tagged 20 members of the actors branch to get their attention, including Cher, Glenn Close, Alec Baldwin, Elizabeth Banks. She also says in part in the post, there are wonderful actresses in the running, fortunately backed by multi-million-dollar ad campaigns. Acting branch, please watch To Leslie on the Academy Screaming Room app. Well, this app seems so much more convenient than the old system. Now there aren't DVDs floating around everywhere. You just have an app. That's pretty sweet. You watch them anywhere? Anyway, once you understand what I'm talking about, hashtag nominate Andrea Riseborough.
What? You have a hashtag you already made?
Yeah. Aside from the social media questions, there have been claims that representatives are directly reaching out to Academy members to solicit votes. All right, we can say like, oh, how dare you two, Leslie, but I mean, come on. You're all doing this.
Campaigning?
You're all doing this, guys, right? Like,
everyone shakes hands.
Let's calm down here. You're all hanging out with each other. You're all doing this.
You're all boozing and schmoozing.
The Academy's regulations cover the for your consideration communications to members, but they are very broad. Something the organization will have to address in the future revisions. So, like, hold on, there's more, and then I'll get on to my point. The Academy does allow solicitations through the Academy's approved mailing houses. Variety can confirm that the awards campaign for To Leslie sent an FYC, for your consideration, email blast to members for screenings and Q&As. No evidence has been presented that Riseborough or anyone from her team reached out to AMPUS voters to act for their direct support. The Academy email carries a hefty price tag. They charge $2,000 for an email blast, and you can only have one per week. $2,000. Variety can also confirm that To Leslie sent out 3 email blasts to the AMPUS voters, which would have been purchased by either her PR team or probably the movie itself.
It's just, isn't this a tiny movie?
Yeah, but like that's fine. You can pay $6,000. That's reasonable. And you're in theory making more money if you draw like all the movies that got nominated are now back in the theaters. Like I saw Triangle of Sadness again in a theater this weekend.
The Whale.
The Whale's back in theaters. Women Talking
Everything
back
Everywhere
in theaters.
All at Once is back in theaters.
They're all back. To Leslie obviously was not, but so it kind of feels like they're like, how dare this little movie make it in here that no one's heard of when we've got all these bigger films here.
You know what movie's not back in theaters and it is definitely nominated for Best Picture?
What?
Tar.
Tar's back over here. It's in theaters.
Not around here. It's the old. I was like, that's the only one. Top Gun Maverick, which just left theaters last month. It just left Bellingham last month, and now it's already back in theaters. I'm like, guys, really? The Fablemans is playing. The Whale. The Whale didn't even get nominated, and it's playing there. Oh, weird. Conspiracy.
Well, Best Actor, yeah. Well, we got the To Leslie conspiracy now.
There's so many conspiracies.
Do I think it's weird she got nominated? Yes. Do I think that means something bad happened? Probably not.
No, just a surge. People watch the movie. It's guerrilla.
Here's what I
campaigning.
actually think is going on. A bunch of the AMPAS voters are just old people, and they do not understand how social media momentum works.
Yeah.
They're just like, we've never heard of this movie. Clearly, nobody could ever be interested in this film.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, you've got the Donkey movie as your best foreign film, and somehow you haven't heard of Worst Person in the World. I just don't believe you understand.
What? EO? Is that what you're getting mad at EO?
Talking about the Donkey movie.
Get mad
Talking about
EO.
Eeyore. Yeah, that movie.
It's EO.
Yeah. Sure.
I wanted to see it.
Yeah.
Nice.
You and the old
It sounds
people.
like the first cow movie.
Yep. Another really boring.
It's a Kelly Reichardt movie.
Yeah, I know. And I really like Kelly Reichardt. That movie's boring.
Did you see Cow, the Andrea Arnold movie? There's a lot of cow movies that came out.
Not. But I like her too.
Yeah, I think that movie was like 40 minutes, though. It's a little documentary she made about a cow. I'm going to look it up.
All right.
Cow.
Let's do a quick Watergate watch, Joe?
Oh, it's 93 minutes. No, sorry. A close-up portrait of the daily lives of two cows. Andrea Arnold, 93 minutes. Cow.
Are you ready for a little Watergate watch?
Watergate, oh, Watergate.
Watch.
Yes.
All right. All right, real quick here, because I didn't get too much farther into the book this week. Just we're only on page like 560 now. It's not too much, but we are in currently the final year of the Nixon presidency, 1974. Still in January. We got a bit to go, but yeah, basically a bunch of legal dramas happening. There are like 3 different investigations. One from the Senate, one from the House, one from the special prosecutor. None of them are working with each other. Partly because they all want the credit for themselves, other than the special prosecutor. Partly because they don't know if they can, like legally. A lot of legal peculiarities about trying to indict or bring to trial a sitting president. And the amusing thing was the special prosecutor did a bunch of research into seeing if it is even possible to try or indict a sitting president. And after a lot of research into obscure out-of-print documents, they eventually determined, yes, but you probably shouldn't. That's the legal clarification. Yeah, but maybe don't do it.
Don't do it.
So that's what they're kind of wrestling with now. Again, like I said last week, I think there is an interesting kind of movie here, especially with these 3 concurrent investigations going on. Maybe it gets too messy then, but maybe you do like an Intolerance or The Hours kind of thing, where you have different time periods of different investigations happening, like the old special prosecutor versus the new one. And there's maybe a way to kind of do this jumbling timeline thing that could keep things interesting. I'm not sure what your theme is there, though. But yeah, a lot of legal nitty-gritty, so I could see why the book needs another 200 pages to kind of clear this all up. Because we're really into it now, but it does feel weird not having any of the familiar names from all the Watergate movies for quite a few number of pages at this point.
Wait, so when you just said 2 movies, The Hours and Intolerance, were you referencing the D.W. Griffith movie?
Yeah.
Intolerance?
Yeah.
Wow. So almost 100 years spanning there of 2 movies. Intolerance came out in 1916. I just found out about this movie on Monday.
How did that come up in your daily life?
Let me tell you something, because in my daily life, I've been going through all the Martin Scorsese movies, and I, for 4.5 hours, watched A Personal Journey with Martin Scorsese through American movies. It's a documentary he made in 1995 that is just him talking about all the movies that inspired him to make his own movies.
Well, that seems like a thing he would do. God,
was it the greatest thing I've watched in some time. I loved it. I was like, this is like film school with Marty. I found it on like the Internet Archive. There's 3 parts. It's about 4 hours. I was going to send it to you because it's just like, you could put it on the background and just like, be like, oh yeah, this film, this is cool.
I could do that. I put worse films on in the background. So, Joe, what are your last looks on The Last Tycoon?
Last looks. Don't watch. Boring. Save yourself the time. It's sad, though, that this is the only time we'll ever see Robert De Niro and Jack Nicholson on the screen together. Yeah,
my last looks for Nicholson specifically. I get why he'd do this movie. You know, he's wants to work with Elia Kazan. He, I imagine, respects Robert De Niro as an actor, at least more than Brando now at this point, probably.
It's the same year. The same fucking year. He's like, he goes to say, he's like,
wow, you don't need cue cards, Robbie Din? Now. And Din's like, nah, why would I need
the last movie wasn't boring. He just wouldn't stop fucking throwing frogs, eating frogs and throwing crickets at me.
And you've got, this director that I imagine must be, as a pinnacle American director at the time, like Nicholson must have been wowed by that prospect, and he doesn't have to be in it super long, too, so it's not a big commitment. It's looking like it's got Harold Pinter, it's got Kazan, it's got De Niro. It's looking like it's going to be this big art house thing. It's an F. Scott Fitzgerald thing.
Is this 2 days of work?
Yeah, probably.
He's like in and out. He's like,
nah,
okay.
It might be 3 because of the night thing. I don't know. It's very minimal amount on Nicholson's part. Not a problem. And then how could you know that you'd put all these great ingredients together and your movie just is boring? Just a boring thing.
Yeah, it's sad.
Boring movie, bad the script. It's all in the script. The script's the problem, really. Like, even if this actress is, has more chemistry with Robert De Niro, I think that just makes the movie like last week's movie. Like, it's not good, but at least was fine to watch. Well, this one just kind of keeps going and feels interminable.
It's the same length as the last movie we just watched, and it feels like an hour longer.
It doesn't really know how to end and kind of shifts gears very suddenly and strongly to come to an end, and that seemed odd too, and I'm not sure what it was trying to do or say, and I wonder if nobody else kind of knew either. I get why Nicholson does this movie. And, so it makes total sense to me. All right, I'd like to thank Lev Van Rensselaer for minding those audio boards and keeping us sound so slippery smooth. I'd like to thank my co-host Joe Vekeman for stopping by this week.
Oh, thank you.
And I am your host, Patrick Skeyhill. You may find my features, documentaries, short films, video essays, animations, behind-the-scenes footage, and so much more at quixoticunited.com and social media, presumably with a similar-sounding name. Thank you all for listening. Joe, say goodnight.
Good night.
Joe, I've almost finished my run through Becker.
Oh, okay. Nice. 5 seasons. That's not bad, right?
6 seasons. 5 and a half seasons. There's a half season at the end they throw in there to wrap it up. So then I was planning to watch The New Adventures of Old Christine. That seems like it was on HBO Max. It's no longer on HBO Max as of last week. Here's the problem. It's not anywhere now. Not even on Pluto TV. My big debate was, well, maybe I just get him on DVD like Becker. But they don't. Becker has the complete series.
Yeah.
I can't.
How many seasons of The New Adventure of Old Christine?
It was like 5, right? Maybe 5 or 6. It went on longer. It went on longer than I thought. So
Jesus Christ, how many Emmys did she win for that one?
1 or 2. It wasn't many, but she got one. She got one enough.
That's still a lot for a show that has zero cultural relevancy.
I know. Listen, it gave us Hamish Linklater and the guy from Marvel that I know from this.
Which guy from... Okay, when you say the guy from Marvel, you talk about literally 80% of Hollywood.
I know. There's the boring guy and they kill him off in the first Avengers.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
He's our screenwriter, Clark Gregg?
Clark. Yeah, that sounds right. That's why I can never remember his name, because it's just like two regular names.
Two of the, the boringest, whitest names. Clark.
And then later on, Wanda Sykes shows up. Like, it's a whole, it's somewhat amusing. So, I
Does
watched
Hurley from Lost show up?
No.
Like in Becker?
Does not.
Doesn't he show up in that?
Pop in there. He's too busy being on Lost. They were concurrent, Joe.
Oh, okay. Were they both on ABC?
No, this was CBS.
Oh, CBS.
So maybe Paramount has it now. It's not there. Don't know where it is. But I don't want to. This happened with Taxi once. I bought Taxi. I bought each individual season, and then a month later, the complete collection came out, and I went, "What the f?"
No, I have the all-time take an L situation. I was like, wow, gee whiz, I really wish I could just watch a couple of episodes of Home Improvement. Oh, is it not streaming anywhere? Oh, that's great. Oh, Amazon has it for $40. That's nice. The whole season, 11 seasons. That's nice. Or I think it's 9 seasons or something like that. So I bought it. The fucking 4 days later after the thing comes in, it's on Hulu. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Do you know how many episodes I've watched? I watched the first disc.
Yeah.
I just want a little hit of Home Improvement. I didn't think I wanted to watch the whole thing. Yeah, no, I was enjoying it for a little while, but then I'm like, yeah. I mean, I'll come back to it at another point, but now I got it
someday. So I was able to sell off the other seasons of Taxi because people want to watch Taxi still. No one's gonna. I will not be able to sell the New Adventures of Old Christine. No one's gonna want those. It's just me. I'm the guy. It's me. The end. Not sure how to handle this situation. Is this a show anyone's gonna bother to make a complete series? But then I was surprised Becker had one, and Becker came out with one just this year. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wish there was a way I could look it up. Is this about to be somewhere, or who owns the rights to this?
You would think that with all these fucking streaming services, anyone that owns a series, it's they're like, oh, give it to us right now.
Well, listen, we've learned
pump out the numbers
that they love canceling shows, including Hollywood Reporter has just said Showtime has removed all of their originals from the streaming platform. The ones that they've canceled. Super pumped American Rust on Becoming God in Central Florida. Let the Right One In. American Gigolo. Kidding. The Weird Jim Carrey Show. All gone.
If you would like, by February 8th through the 10th, you can, if you order it right now, you can get all 5 seasons of The New Adventures of Old Christine on Amazon for the low, low price of $299.96.
Maybe I'll look on eBay. I don't want to get him, and I don't want to get him, and then the full series comes out. Gonna feel like an idiot.
I mean, that's what happens. That's why I've kind of given up on television. Although, I said that, and you know what I was hit with this past weekend?
What?
A great new show. It's called Poker Face.
On Peacock.
It's basically like Lady Columbo. And you know what? It rules. They're
Columbo's good.
We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just have some more Columbo. But this time it's with Natasha Lyonne.
Does she smoke a big cigar?
Okay. Maybe some cigarettes. She has a lot of cigarettes and
Gotta give her a vape pen at least. Make her hip.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if she's going for hip. But she's fun. She's a fun little character. And you know what I'm looking forward to this season?
What?
Because they have some incredible guest stars. Most notably, my guy, Nick fucking Nolte.
Yeah, when I told you Nick Nolte was in Ginger Dead Man, I accidentally meant Gary Busey.
I can see how you'd make that mistake, but one of them is an incredible actor and one of them is a sideshow.
I know.
I love Gary Busey, but Nick Nolte, he's incredible.
This is the crazier one.
Do you have a favorite Nolte?
No. I'm not keeping track of Nolte. Sexiest man alive.
Great in Cape Fear. Incredible. Mm-hmm. You've definitely seen him as one of the rock monsters in Noah.
Yep, I remember that credit coming
He plays
up and being
Hulk's
like,
dad in Hulk, the Ang Lee movie.
Uh-huh.
Awesome in 48 Hours, probably where I fell in love with him. He's great as an Italian father in Lorenzo's Oil.
But don't forget, I like Trouble. I love Trouble. What was it?
I love Trouble. That's one that I'm not going to have to revisit.
But think of all the Frasier stars in there. Think of them.
Yeah, I'll think of them.
There's 4 of them.
He hangs out in Blue Chips because he's a basketball coach. The William Friedkin movie.
Yeah, these are movies I don't think I've ever seen.
You've never seen this?
I don't think I've seen any of those movies you've named that didn't have Julia Roberts in them.
Blue Chip stars Nick Nolte, Shaquille O'Neal, Mary McDonnell, and Ed O'Neill.
Oh, well, I'd probably watch that.
Yeah, Larry Bird shows up as himself. Oh, we got a Jim Beaver appearance.
The Beeve.
Yeah, Jim Beaver. You would love this movie. It's all basketball.
I'm not a basketball guy. I'm not a hoop head.
You're not a hoop head?
I'm not a hoop head. That's Fenter.
Okay, well, I mean, basketball's fun.
This has got Ed O'Neill. That could be good enough.
Hell yeah.
And I do know who Larry Bird and Shaq are. I know enough about basketball.
And how could we forget we have covered another Nick Nolte movie on our podcast?
What?
The Ridiculous Six.
Nah.
How could you forget Frank Stockburn? That is a movie that I think I will never, ever, ever watch again.
That's good. I wouldn't do it either. But there is some good news in old people TV.
Oh, yeah, tell me.
Hollywood Reporter has also noticed that CBS has ordered a Matlock reboot where Matlock can be played by Kathy Bates.
Fucking hell. Is that the greatest thing I've ever heard?
And even better for Patrick, there will be another Good Fight, Good Wife spin-off.
Oh, I heard about this. I was so happy for you.
Yes, starring the best lawyer in the Good Fight universe, Carrie Preston.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I was hoping that she was someone that you'd care about in that new show.
She's the best one. Weirdly, it said it was eyeing to put it on broadcast, and I go, so the Good Fight can't be on broadcast. But this even more niche spin-off can?
It's a spin-off of a spin-off.
What?
Interesting.
So that was...
I'm sure it'll be on Paramount at some point.
I just assumed it was going to be on Paramount, but if not, it's fine. I just was surprised that the other one was deemed too crazy or too niche.
Well, wasn't it like an R-rated version of The Good Fight? The Good Wife?
Well, the first season was like all first seasons of premium
and then
dramas are, so that they're like, oh, well, these ones are lesbians, and oh, this guy's got his shirt off all the time.
I'm pretty sure you can have a regular drama on broadcast TV with a guy with a shirt off.
They went aggressively sexy with it, and then it made a hard pivot in season 2.
Wow. They were told, that's not your audience.
Yeah, it ends on a cliffhanger. Immediately, they wrap it up at the beginning of season 2, and they're like, okay, we're a new show now. And it got much better. But, like, the Good Fight got to be so good and crazy and wacky because they weren't on broadcast. And now you have an actual wacky character. You might not want her on I don't know.
So, I'm on IMDb for the...
New Adventures of Old Christine.
The movie we watched. No.
Well, it sounds like you should save it for when we talk about the movie we watched.
Well, it's not even about the movie. It's just in the section where the More Like This is. And one of the movies, I had to check if this was a real movie. And I mean, I guess it is a real movie. But it's called Stanley and Iris, and it stars Robert De Niro and Jane Fonda as sweethearts.
America's Sweethearts.
I know Jane Fonda is around De Niro's age, but it's just I never put them together as from the same generation.
I thought it was weird seeing Robert De Niro being young, so maybe we're just used to him always being old.
It's the same year as Taxi Driver.
I know, but I'm just old man De Niro's in my head. He's just yelling at Ben Stiller. Yeah, he's like, "Hey, can you milk me?" You know, that's Robert De Niro in my mind.
You just go to 2000s De Niro right away?
I don't know why, but that's because I've seen him in young movies before, and movies where he's young before, but I'm just like, yeah. 2000s De Niro, that's what I got.
I'm trying to get like a image of De Niro. Like, what's my first image of De Niro? And we'll just get into it in the podcast because I've got a lot of De Niro talk. Let's break this one open. Let's crack this egg.